welcome to Hornet Sports Buzz, episode 2 of this season. First of all, a quick update on the Mansfield teams. It's September 18th. Very high level, just a couple undefeated teams left, 3. Again, we're going to get into the details as we move forward with the show. The golf team is off to a great start, 4-0. Coach Hall will be on within a couple weeks. He promised me. Let's hope he shows up. And the boys and girls cross-country team just started the season yesterday. Late start. They both won, so they're 1-0. The football team went out to Ohio, which we're going to have hopefully Coach Redding on big trip. They lost to like a top 100 team. But tonight we're going to talk all about boys soccer, and we're joined by head coach Steve Sheridan and an assistant coach Tommy Giannalutis. Is that right, Tommy?
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Nice job.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
To the show. From this point forward, I'm going to call him Tommy G.
Yeah, that works. So that's what they call me.
And may ask him to spell it at the end of the show. But your coach is your second time on the show, but I'm going to ask. We're going to get to you in a minute. We're going to ask Tommy a little bit about your background. Obviously you're a young guy.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit, like maybe a little youth soccer. If you played for Mansfield High, if you played in college, and how you got into coaching for Mansfield.
Yeah. So I grew up. My dad was actually the varsity coach for Mansfield my whole pretty much childhood. When I got into high school, 04, I think it was. Steve was my freshman coach.
Yeah, wow.
And then played varsity 06, 07, won the league in 06. I went to college down in North Carolina, so I was out of it for a little bit. As soon as I came back home, Steve was fortunately the head coach. Emailed him, texted him, asked if I could get involved. So gradually became kind of full-time.
That's great.
Yeah.
So Steve fired your dad? Is that what I'm interpreting?
Yeah. No, as soon as I graduated, my dad got a promotion, had to step away. So
Yeah, no,
Yep.
that's great. And I think we talked off air. I think the 06 or 07 season had a very good year, and we could talk about records. I think there's 3 teams, Coach, that only had 2 regular season losses, and I think does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
And you won the Hawk, and I think you got 3 or 4 Hawk titles, Mansfield in total.
3.
3? Okay. So you guys were the first. So
Mm-hmm.
Congrats.
yeah, thank you.
Coach, if you don't mind recapping a little bit about your background, it's probably a little bit longer than Tommy's, but maybe not.
No, I can make it short. I started coach. I did 9 years of coaching at Oliver Ames. 5 years as a JV coach and 4 years as a varsity. Took a couple years off, and then I came in '98 to Mansfield High School with his dad as an assistant coach. And for the 10 years George was here, I was either a freshman, the JV, or an assistant varsity coach. And then George had to leave, step down for his full-time job, and I stayed on as a JV coach, and then for 2 years, and then I took over as a varsity coach in 2010.
That's great. And before we get into things, I don't know if you've coached freshman or JV, or you're the assistant varsity coach, but what's just a high level difference between coaching like a freshman or JV team versus a varsity? I know there's lots of talent.
The biggest thing outside of talent is the speed of the game.
Yeah.
The speed is a lot faster at the varsity level than it is at the JV, and it's warp speed difference between the freshmen.
Yeah.
You just did a freshman game today, Jack.
Yeah.
You've seen a lot of varsity games. There's a big difference in the speed of the game.
Night and day. And every kid, the defenders, the strikers, the middies, they can all run, and they can all run for 80 minutes or close to that. So Tommy, we're going to talk a little bit before we get into the season, and maybe talk briefly about last year. Can you tell us a little bit about the off-season program? I know you're involved in the whole program, but from when I think after the season ends, they get the winter off, but like starting up in the spring.
Yeah,
just
so
an overview.
I know Steve prides himself on it, but all the coaches really put a lot of time into it. Starting in the spring, right around the end of spring sports, we do weight room 2 times a week. Kick it off, we do a lot of work with Athletic Edge, Bruce Burley, who's a former Mansfield alum, Bridgewater State alum. Do a lot of training with him 1 time a week.
He's a former football player.
Yeah,
right?
yep, I believe he's in the Hall of Fame
He's
for
in the Hall of Fame.
Mansfield and Bridgewater State, I believe. So we would work with him doing weight training, conditioning. There's a summer league in Norton that we do. So we give them a lot of opportunities to keep their game going throughout the off season.
Yeah, and the Norton Summer League, it's once a week, Wednesday nights.
Wednesday nights from basically the last week of school through second week of August.
Okay, and then a little bit of captain's practices. So any parents out there that are incoming, say they have 7th or 8th graders, what can they expect for captain's practices? Again, you can't be there, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Everything during the summer is optional. It's it's all optional. It's not mandatory, and we usually do. Like I said, on Wednesdays is usually the Norton Summer League, but we usually do Mondays and Thursdays are captain's practices, and Tuesdays and Fridays are usually weight room. So we basically have something going Monday through Friday throughout the summer, as far as the off season. And guys we don't have everybody coming to everything, but we usually, like in the weight room, we usually have anywhere from 20 to 30 kids. The captain's practice, you get more because they're outside kicking a soccer ball.
Yeah.
In the summer league, we have most of the kids that are trying out in the fall usually play the summer league.
Okay.
This year, I think there was only like 3 or 4 freshmen that didn't play it.
Well, that's great. That's great. And then we could get into tryouts and just overall, and either one of you know, how many in the program now that hopefully you didn't have to make many cuts, but I mean, how many between varsity, JV, and freshmen? Do you know?
25 and 1836 is 62.
I made him do math. This is great.
And I think I got it wrong. No, 62. Yeah,
that's
the
pretty
62.
good.
Yeah.
We made about 4 or 5 cuts this year, just to make. I kept 25, 26 on the varsity, and we have 18 on each of the freshman and JV teams.
That's good. So, and again, your philosophy, like keeping, there's no perfect number to keep, but and I believe it's like if you think a kid can play on varsity, you're going to keep them there. Like it's underclassmen.
Yeah.
Talk about, I think one freshman made it and a handful of sophomores. Is that true?
Yeah. I had 1 freshman this year, Aiden Steele. We all determined that after we saw him in our preseason that putting him on JV just wouldn't be helping him. So we have him on the varsity, and he's been getting some playing time. And then we had 3 other freshmen who showed that they were varsity ready, but just because of the numbers. At the time, I was keeping 27 kids on the varsity without those 3 freshmen, and not going to get playing time, so we put them down on the JV.
Yeah. And how did the preseason go, Tommy? You were there. Talk about, I think you guys usually have 3 or 4 scrimmages, and then the New Bedford tournament first, and then 3 or 4 scrimmages. So were you surprised at all? Or I mean, it's hard because you guys see them a little bit during the summer, not really, and then based on last year and in the spring. But how did that go? And I know wins and losses is not really the focus in preseason.
Yeah,
right?
no, the preseason went very well. I mean, we lost to Nauset, I believe, if I remember that correctly. Nauset's always top of their game.
Yeah.
So other than that, we did great, and then kind of went into the regular season against Foxborough and had some injuries. Timmy Bradley got hurt in the New Bedford tournament. He's a senior defenseman, so trying to replace him to start the season was a little tough. But the preseason was great. The guys came ready to go.
That's great. And we're going to get into the season because Jack O'Neill wants me to fill up an hour. Just kidding. But let's talk about your captains. You mentioned one of the seniors, Tim Bradley. But Coach, talk about your 3 captains this year.
3 captains. Senior goalie Tony Salisbury, midfielders Peter Oldow and Colin Caridi. Tony's one of the best, probably in my mind. He's the best goalie in the league. And Peter and Colin are both solid. As a matter of fact, with some of the injuries we had, I had to drop Colin back to defense the last couple of games, and he's probably going to stay there until we get some injury guys back.
Yeah, it's tough. You never know when they're going to come. So, they couldn't come up today because they had homework apparently. But and the other seniors, well, we're thinking of, you got Bradley, the 3 seniors. What are the other seniors? Actually, you have a lot.
We have 12. We have 12 seniors.
I don't want to put you.
You're putting me on the spot.
No.
Let's go down.
Let's go down the starting lineup.
Start with Cam Bovey.
We got we got Cam Bovey, who's Tony's backup.
Yeah.
Who, in my mind, he's the 2nd best goalie in the league. I mean, we have the best 2 goalie tandems in the league.
And
by
you can't
far.
play 2 goalies at the same time.
No, unfortunately, you can't.
Yeah.
But then we also have Cam Eddy, defender.
Robbie
Healy, Peter Oldow, Colin Caridi,
Ethan Harkness,
Sam Clayman, and Ethan, and they're a couple of defenders. Rafi Marzella, who's a midfielder. I'm going to forget somebody.
That's why we brought Tommy.
Who are we forgetting, Tommy? He didn't say this was going to be a quiz.
No. I don't have the answers here, so it's fine. So let's get into the season. 5 games in. Sorry. What's the record? I know it, but you can.
1-3 in the league.
Yeah.
1-4 overall.
Yeah.
Started off against Foxborough, dominated the game, unlucky penalty kick call, and we lost 1-0. And then at the end of that game, Michael Jeans, who in my mind probably was our best defender at the time, went down. He was really the general of the defense. So we lost him with a knee injury. Hopefully he's back after tomorrow's game.
Knock on wood.
Knock on
Knock
wood.
on wood, exactly.
But ever since then, it was just not many practices, trying to create the defense, fill in the void. And luckily, Evan Eames Jr. stepped in as a sweeper,
Yeah.
and he's been doing an awesome job.
Between him and Colin Caridi, they've solidified the defense for right now.
Yeah.
That's good. And I know the second game, I think a second Norton non-league game.
Yeah.
Historically, I think Norton won the All States. I think four years ago.
Yeah.
Good program. How did that? And I guess it was a scheduling glitch.
It was a great game. We had it scheduled for the end of September, but we had to make a last-minute change, and both Eric Green from Norton and I we wanted to play the game. So we ended up coming up. We found out like 5 days earlier that we were going to play it on that Monday. So we ended up playing Friday against Foxborough, Monday night against Norton, and then Tuesday night against Attleboro to start the season. 3 games basically in 3 school days.
That is tough. When the kids are just getting back to school.
Yeah. And losing Michael Jeans at the end of that first game really hurt, and it showed against Norton, trying to put the defense together. And basically, I mean, we lost 4-1, but we really only made like 2 mistakes, but they cost us.
Yeah.
Both of them cost us big time.
That's tough.
And Norton's good. They got a kid who's probably going to be all New England.
Do you know his name? I've seen him in the
his
paper.
name.
Yeah.
He's number 7.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
number 7 for Norton. He's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I've seen
He's
his name in the
pretty
Sun
good.
Chronicle,
Yeah.
but we usually always reference Hawk Sports, so
Yeah.
they're not in the Hawk.
That's why.
I'm not good at segues. So let's talk about you got a couple injuries on defense. You said Bradley and Michael Jeans. Last year, as you know, and actually last 2 years, 2 regular season losses. Last year, undefeated in the Hawk, and you graduated 4 starting defenders that were at least two were all Hawk. And,
Yep.
and
2 of them were all Hawks.
Yeah,
And one of them was Eastern Mass All-Star.
and Derek Muth was
And
a
Derek-
2-time starter.
Yeah.
Derek Muth was a junior and senior year starter. He's playing in college right now.
Starting.
Matt O'Donnell, heck of a
Yeah,
player on the
Matty O.
inside. Yeah.
And
So
it's the first time in my Mansfield varsity coaching career that I've actually had 4 starting seniors. I've always had a mixture of at least 3 classes there, so we wouldn't miss any continuity. But
Yeah.
we're missing that continuity from last
Yeah.
year to this year.
And I know it's a challenge as a coach. You're always, and I think Coach Redding and Coach Vaughn and all the Mansfield coaches would say you're focused on this year because it's this year, and and you get the seniors and you want to do the best for them. But you're hopefully coaching next year and a few years, and the kids are playing. So you try to develop talent. It's like I know in the back line, you guys are going for the undefeated season, high seeding. So it's tough to balance getting in the underclassmen in those games. Is that?
I mean, last year the only continuity from the defense was Cam Eddy.
Yeah.
I mean, he was our one sub last year that he went in and gave spelled our seniors.
Yeah.
But that was the only.
He's pretty versatile, Cam. I think he can play anywhere in the field.
He can. He's a great defender and a great midfielder. He's great on the outside. He's got a long throw that we capitalize and use quite often.
That's kind of one of the Mansfield strengths: set plays, long throws, long kicks, going back to.
It's part of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, Attleboro, you guys suffered a defeat. They're, the Hawk, as you know from your playing days, always tough.
Oh yeah.
It is,
Anything can happen.
Attleboro's. I think their history in the past few years is they haven't been able to score goals. Well, they got a couple. They got a few
they
goal
do.
scorers.
They do have some goal scorers this year. They got some skill, they got some talent, and they got some speed. And that was a perfect. I mean, we made 2 mistakes against them, like I said, and both mistakes cost us big goals. One of the goals we had was an own goal. So
Yeah.
it's just mistakes.
Do you ever have an own goal, Tommy?
No, never. I was too busy scoring the goal.
He was always in the other end of the field.
Yeah. I heard you're up there. I think you've had, not to talk about you. You had quite a few goals one season.
Yeah, my senior year was 15, around
Yeah,
15 or so.
That's good. Yeah. We could mention another one. Luke Savoy last year had 15 or 16. I don't know if he
Yeah.
taught you, but
he had
Yeah.
8. He ended up with 18. I believe.
18.
Yeah.
Sorry, but
He taught me.
So you, other than the defense, you lost the 2 Lukes, Luke Savoy, Luke Devine, and Max Banks. So I think those are your. So not a ton of seniors. I think the prior year you lost 15, but maybe the quality was very high that you lost. So
We have a lot of skill this year.
Yeah.
It's more of the seniors last year communicated very well on the field. Our team this year is very new to each other, so we're still learning to talk, figure out where everyone is, and that's been the biggest problem this year is just communication, which is a little fixed, but they just got to get used to it.
So that's a good segue. Like, how do you do that in practice? Like, Coach talked about the speed of games. I know I've heard and seen your practices, you guys go hard, but game time, it's like you're not trying to kill the other team because it's not football, but you're going right at it. So how do you try to, I don't know what the word is, replicate? There's the word. Replicate the speed during practice. I didn't think I was going to go up with that one.
It's tough to replicate the speed of the game
Yeah.
in practice. What you have to do is you have to get basically your whole team to go 100% during practice, and you try and balance it off where it's not just, you don't just always go starters versus the bench players, because you got to equal it out and make it so it's an equal balance, so everybody goes after each other.
And what about the communication? Like you said it, and I've been around the soccer game. You guys know it, but it's like, how do you force kids that are normally shy? Being shy in the classroom and shy on the field are different things. But
If you can find the answer to that, please tell me.
yeah, I don't.
I've been doing this for
just ask the
years, and I still cannot figure out how to get them to start talking more.
It's like a baseball
I talk to
coach,
them, and I just keep telling them to start yelling and talk, but I haven't figured it out.
It's again, you were forward, but it's in some ways it starts with the keeper, right? Owning the ball, and then the sweeper, stopper, and then kind of builds from
I mean,
there.
our keepers are very great. They communicate well. It's just the rest of the team.
Yeah, I know Bovey can be loud when he's in there too.
Yeah.
All right, so let's focus. You guys won. You beat Sharon, who's supposedly an up year, and I think it was.
That's if you read HockerMockSports.com.
Yeah, we got to say that 5 times every show. So yeah. You tell us about that game, Coach. Either one of you.
Go for it, Tommy. I'll let you talk about that.
All right, I will start off. So one of our problems this year has been starting off slow.
Okay.
The guys, I don't know what it is, the slow warm-up, but we started off slow. So we started off slow that game. I believe Coach called the timeout, and ever since that timeout, our guys just took it to him. Had trouble scoring, but we were able to put one of Cam Eddy's throws in the net. Captain Peter Oldow, I believe it was, scored the goal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've been taking it to a lot of teams. It's just got to put together for 80 minutes.
And those of you who don't know, high school soccer, you're allowed one timeout per half each team. And Coach, you generally use them unless things are going extremely well, right?
Yes.
Because there's always a key point.
It is a very good strategy to use them.
Yeah. I mean, if a set piece from outside the box, and I mentioned Max Garner from the days, or you've always had a long thrower.
Yep.
We in the booth we used to joke designate a long throw. I think it was Sam Highland a couple of years ago.
Yep.
Not sure who Dylan Buchanan did a little bit.
Dylan last year.
We have quite a few guys this year.
It's
not just one guy this year. We have a few guys that can throw it in.
It is a great skill. And then your last game, Franklin, a road game. That's always a tough place to play. And before you guys had your run, and Franklin historically, I think won it 4 years. Like
4 in a row.
When my oldest son played, they won it 4 years in a row. So that was another battle.
Yep, Max Gernon really started the whole trend of beating Franklin. But the Franklin game again was started off slow. They scored on a set piece, 15 minutes in.
They scored on a very good goal, but it was just it was as bad as we told them that they played in that first half. They really only made the one mistake. It was a marking. We just did not mark this kid on a corner kick. They scored. Enough said. And then at halftime, we talked about them that Franklin is basically the same kind of team as us. It's just they wanted it more. And we came out in the second half, we wanted it more. We just could not convert a goal.
Yeah, I wasn't there. I heard the second half you guys definitely carried the play.
We couldn't put the ball in the net.
Are you over at the high school, or that's it seems like a smaller field, like the side field?
Oh, no, we're at the high school, in the football stadium.
Oh, okay. Good. And then just a couple upcoming, because I saw HockerMockSports.com. You got Milford tomorrow and All Reims next Tuesday. So 2 tough matches. So I know you like Coach Belichick and just focused on tomorrow's match, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what I know
every team in the Hawk can beat every other team in the Hawk any given day. Our league in soccer is one of the best in the state, and anybody can beat anybody on any given day. And so if you're not ready to play, you could be behind the 8 ball real quick.
I've seen that happen. And so along those lines, you're a younger guy. So how do you, we talked about communication. How do you, you talk about, listen to Tom Brady again, football analogy is not good, but how do you get your teams to start faster? Again, there's no magic pill, but how do you try to enforce upon that?
I mean, they've been listening to us when we call them out.
Yeah.
Today we actually had the captains kind of pull the team aside, not us. Captains talked to them, and ever since then, the practice was great today. So hopefully it clicks. It's just a matter of wanting it. Depends if they show up.
That's great. Again, I'm not good at segues. In soccer, just like most high school sports, you need a 500 record or above. And again, we don't want to talk about the whole season, but 18 points, right? You have
Right.
18 game schedule or 9?
18 games.
Yeah. So, it's 2 points for a win in high school and 1 point for tie. So, again, it's challenging. And we haven't really mentioned, you guys are in the Kelly Rex, the Davenport. Unlike some other sports like football, which they don't play each other, some of the Davenport teams are just as good because
They're all good.
yeah, like Milford, you play tomorrow. Foxborough's good.
North Attleboro.
North Attleboro,
Attleboro.
they're stingy defense.
Sharon, they're all good.
Yeah, and I heard Stoughton's improved.
Stoughton just beat somebody 3-0 the other day. Who did they beat?
I think Canton. Yeah.
Canton.
Canton, yeah. I think it might have been Canton they beat 3-0.
So this is when I throw a Mike joke. You're going to lose your hair at the end of the season. I
I've
say it when
already I've already lost it.
So again, I just injuries have been tough. You said the attitude is good. It's hard for these kids are 15 to 18 years old. I mean, and I think you said off air, still being positive. Again, it's a long way to go, but it's you and coach and Bruce spoke. We did mention and who's your other coach?
Bobby and Trony.
Bobby and Trony.
Would you forget his name
No,
already?
no, I
you
was
just
just
you
kidding.
just refed his game
I know,
an hour ago.
His name's a little bit easier than Gianna Ludis, but so the attitude's good, the approach's good. So just I guess again, talk about tweaks. Again, actually, one of my friends, I said, "What do you want to ask Coach Sheridan?" He said, he knows who it is. Is it harder to coach an experienced team that's played varsity or a young developing team? It seems like the answer is obvious, but maybe it's not.
They're both challenging.
They're both challenging. Yeah.
They're both very challenging because the experienced team will most likely think they know what they're supposed to do or how they're supposed to do it, and they don't do it that way. Whereas the younger guys, they don't know what they're supposed to do, and you have to tell them.
That's good. And then what about, you already mentioned a couple tweaks, moving Evan Ames and Colin Caridi to defense, but are you guys constantly, I know your coaches, you, Bruce, Bobby, and Coach, you're always trying to figure out, it's a little puzzle. You kind of know who your more experienced players, but and again, related to that, are some of the starting spots still, you guys look for changes in practice, who's kind of working harder or doing things differently?
Yeah, and actually, we actually, during the halftime of the Franklin game, we had to make a point. That was our 5th game, and it was our 5th different starting lineup. So, and it wasn't just because of injuries, it was because we have a nice, deep bench. I mean, we don't have a bunch of all-star superstars on our team, but every position we are at least 2 or 3 deep at, and they're all equally good. Some of them bring a different, some of them will bring a little physicality to the game, some of them will bring finesse, some of them will bring a shot, some can bring, better in the air. It's just...
That's good. And they're all competing for playing time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
It's tough to get 25 guys playing time in a high school soccer game.
Yeah, and then so the practices must be pretty competitive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. So I'm not going to ask you for any predictions, but so I do want to ask you about your brother, if you don't mind, because I know it's Billy.
Yep, Billy.
Yeah, and I know this because I'm around the team a little bit. Last year he gave a talk to the team and talked about, why don't you talk about a little bit what he does and how he helped the team last year? If you don't
So
mind.
my brother is a life coach, motivational speaker. Every week, it's called Once a Week with Billy G. He does these motivational speeches, talks about different topics that might just help people throughout the day. So last year, we kind of saw the team wasn't going through a rough spot at the start of the season, but just make sure their heads were all in it. So my brother came in, gave him a motivational speech, and they set goals for each other, and it seemed to carry around throughout the season. Luke Savoy, that day before the season started, said he wanted to be the leading scorer, and he did it. So
That's great. And even kids with confidence on the field, it's sometimes hard for people my age. It's hard for people to verbalize, especially in front of their friends, their goals.
Yep.
But I think you guys, if you meet the individual goals, and I sound like a brother, the team's probably going to meet their goals. So did you guys do that this year or not yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, you got to pay him. You got to pay the fee.
He is
So-
expensive.
You know, I'm going to keep it short here. Coach Sheridan's a little bit superstitious. Last year he didn't want to come in until the end of the season, but hopefully we'll have him on back. And
But seeing as though we've lost 4 games already, we're good.
yeah, but this could be the turning point.
That's right.
You know, it's good and stay positive. And just another shout out to the captains and their parents because they do a ton of work off the field, which mostly the moms, right?
Oh, yes, and the dads. The dads were there for the car wash this weekend.
Oh, Roberta Sullivan, I was talking to her, who's the president of Boosters. She said, she's going to be mad at me for mentioning her name, that you wash every single towel after the car wash. You take them home, and
Yeah.
she told me, yeah, that's impressive. Hopefully your wife helps you, but that's impressive.
No, she doesn't.
No? Okay.
She does not.
See? I'm just killing all the stereotypes here.
She just yells at me to get them done.
That's
and put them
impressive.
away.
So your car wash, hopefully, do you know how much money you guys raised?
To date, we raised $6,147, I think.
That's
And
great.
we still have a few kids that haven't turned in their sheets yet.
Did you beat the girls team, like as far as?
We always beat the girls. And as far as the number of cars, they always raise more than us. So,
Well, thanks for coming on, Tommy.
problem.
Tommy
Thanks-
G.
thanks for having me.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.
And good luck, and hopefully we'll see you in the playoffs. But
Thank you.
thanks for joining this episode of Hornet Sports Buzz. We'll either have Coach Hall, the golf coach, or the cross-country coach, Ian Flanagan, who's new, next time. But until then, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.